Hello, amazing entrepreneur. Welcome to another episode of the Heart-Cen Business Podcast. This is episode number 436, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/436. It is day 6 of Tashmas, and today's episode is a really juicy tell-all behind the scenes of what happened when my reel went viral on Facebook. I'm going to share with you all of the juicy goss of what happened, the benefits, as well as some of the negatives of having a reel go viral. And because it is Tashmas, there's also a free gift at the end of today's episode as well. And I've got an exciting new freebie to share with you. Let's dive in. Hello, I'm Tash Corbin, a business strategist and mentor based on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The mission of this podcast is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs to make more money, and in doing so, change the world for the better. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi and Jinnaburra people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Now, I want to start by saying my goal was never to go viral on Facebook. I shared this reel in response to something that was happening in the Olympics at the time. So this was in July of 2024. And there was a reel on Instagram that was being shared and reshared and reshared, and people were remixing it, of the vault in the gymnastics. And a guy lands like a really tricky vault, and the surprise on his face, the expression on his face was just hilarious. And I was watching that reel and I said, oh my gosh, it looks like my face whenever I record a podcast in one take. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make my version of that reel, and I'm going to say that this is what my face looks like when I record one of my podcast episodes in one take. And so I actually just remixed someone else's reel, and I put my words over the top saying my face when I record a hot podcast in one take. And I shared it. Now, I didn't even mean for it to go onto Facebook. I was just going to share it on Instagram as like, ha ha ha, funny reel. Like, that's really funny that happens, isn't it? And I don't use Instagram as my primary social media platform. It's more where I just go and watch reels myself. I keep my hand in of what's working and what's not on Instagram because it is something that I teach inside the Takeoff program. But something that I also teach is to choose your primary platform. And for me, that's Facebook. So I didn't actually mean to push this reel over to Facebook. I just have settings on Instagram where it automatically shares things to my Facebook page. And normally I turn that off when I'm sharing reels. But I didn't this time. So the reel got on the wrong side of Facebook. It got on the wrong side of the comments. So the start of the reel, which I didn't even make, is the guy running up to the vault, and it says, when you accidentally land the hardest vault in the Olympics or something like that. And then about halfway through, I cover the words and say my face when I record a podcast in one take. And there were hundreds and hundreds of people who took offense to the fact that I was saying he landed that vault accidentally. Now, I wasn't actually saying that. It was someone else's reel that I had remixed, but there were a lot of very older, very entitled, very cranky men in most cases, a few cranky women as well, who were like, that's not an accident. Like, that's body remembering what to do. And that, like, how dare you undervalue the hard work that's gone into that man's career, all sorts of stuff, right? So I got on the wrong side of the comments, but because it was getting so much traction, so many comments, and so many people were sharing it, it got 1 million views in 1 week. And at last check, it was at 7 million views, 7 million reach for that reel on Facebook. Now, people had shared it. On Instagram, it's got like 1,500 views. Like, it's nothing. It's done nothing on Instagram. But on Facebook, it's gone particularly viral. Now, what happens when you have a reel go viral on Facebook? Well, I wanted to share with you the positive side of reels going viral and the negatives. So first of all, let's go into the positives. My ego loved it. It was really good for my ego to see my reach on Facebook was over 5 million for the month of August. 5 million reach. Oh my gosh, look at that. Everything was up by like 8,000% and all of the numbers were green and everything had little up arrows when I did my end of month reporting. So good. I felt like, oh, look at me. Oh, look at those amazing numbers. That's the extent of the positives though. That's it. It's all over. That's it. That's the only thing. It was good for my ego. On the negative side, what it meant was that I actually had to turn off my Facebook ads. Because I have Facebook ads that run retargeting anyone who's engaged with my social media in the last 180 days. And all the people who had engaged with that reel were not my ideal clients. They weren't actually warm audience. They were just a bunch of strangers who took offense to the fact that landing a vault was called an accident on a reel. And so I had to turn the ads off because I couldn't reach my warmest audience who had engaged with my page anymore. Because the number of people who had engaged with my page, someone watching a reel is considered engagement. So I had 7 million engagements on my Facebook page. So the thing that I was using to grow my mailing list, I had to turn it off. It had to be turned off. Not only that, because the reel was getting so many comments, I had to turn my notifications off for my Facebook page because my phone was pinging every minute. And normally if someone comments on something on my Facebook page, I have those notifications on. It happens 3 or 4 times a day, not 3 or 4 times a minute. And so I had to turn my notifications off. And so when people were engaging with my Facebook page with my other content, I wasn't getting notified about that. And I couldn't see that. So I had to go to my Facebook page twice a day and manually go and check, has anyone commented on stuff? And I haven't had to do that for years. There were also some frustrating conversations happening in the comments of that reel. And so I had to watch that because as a business owner, under Australian consumer law and under Australian media laws, I am responsible for what happens in the comments on my platform. So I had to pay attention to see and make sure that there was nothing that was being shared that was sexist or racist or homophobic. I had to make sure that there weren't fights happening in the comments section. And so I had to keep watch of all these people who I have no business needing to be part of their lives and they have no business being part of mine. It was really frustrating. And I had some very frustrating conversations with people in the comments saying, please be mindful, please be respectful. And then in the end, I just ended up deleting a bunch of comments from people and blocking a bunch of people from my Facebook page as well. And then now, even though it was a really good positive for my ego in August, now that that reel has stopped getting that extra reach and it's quietened off, it still hasn't stopped, but it's quietened off. My reporting looks terrible. So you know how I had that really big boost for my ego as my positive? Well, now it's really hurting my ego because no matter how amazing my content does on social media, it never looks as good as it did in August and the arrows are all going down and the numbers are all in red. And so I actually have to get my team member who helps me with my reporting go through and extract manually the data from my actual content because it's all being blurred by the data from this one reel that went viral. So I would rather, instead of having something go viral on social media, I would rather just have 10 really high quality connections every month on social media with just 10 people. I would rather that than having another reel go viral, especially another reel go viral with the wrong crowd. Because it's always going to be that random viral where you're sharing something funny. That's the one that goes viral. It's not going to be the one where I'm talking to camera and explaining why business planning can actually be really beautiful and joyful and creative. That's not the thing that's going to go viral, is it? So having something go viral on Facebook or Instagram has never, ever, ever been on my goal list or my priority list. And it has certainly gone on to my please don't let this happen again list now because it actually had far more negatives than positives. And I just want to be like so upfront and honest with everyone about the downsides, and it did nothing for my business. Out of that thing going viral, I didn't make an extra sale. I didn't have any growth of my followers on Facebook. I didn't have anyone accidentally stumble across my business because the reel was completely unrelated. Like no one got the point that it was about podcasting. I had related it back to my experience as a business owner, but I only had 3 comments from people in my warm audience. And those 3 people already followed me and they already engaged with my content consistently. It did nothing for my business. It's only caused really headaches. The only positive, as I said, was my ego, but I'd rather have far fewer people connecting with me, but it be really high quality connections. And if you feel the same, if you would rather learn how to get really high quality connections from your existing audience and from new audience members who are within your niche, well, that's my special treat for you as part of Tashmas today. I have created 2 new free trainings. One is a redo of an old one and another one is completely free. They are my $0 Facebook and $0 Instagram marketing trainings. So I've had my $0 Facebook marketing training available on my website probably since 2016, and I update it every year with what is it that works for organic marketing strategies on Facebook now. But I often get asked, have you got a similar thing like that for Instagram, Tash? And I finally decided to put it together. So I have got over with the show notes of today's episode, tashcorbin.com/436. I've got a link to a post on my Facebook page, or you can come straight to my page and find it. And all you need to do is underneath, comment which is your primary social media platform. Is it Facebook or is it Instagram? And I will send you in the DMs a link to access my new version of the $0 Facebook marketing strategy. Or if Instagram is your primary platform, the $0 Instagram marketing strategy. And this $0 Instagram marketing strategy is very up to the minute because there has been a huge algorithm change on Instagram in October of 2024. And so all of that is incorporated into that training. So you'll find all of the information on that over at tashcorbin.com/436, or for those of you who already follow my page, you'll find it there as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart-Cen Business Podcast. I'll see you tomorrow for day 7. Bye for now.